Hello, pre-calc class. Since we're going on our third cold day now, I figure we should probably do something useful. So I'm going to make a little video about what we were going to do the first day back so we can kind of hit the ground running tomorrow. So this is my daughter Estelle, and she may or may not be helping me further in this video.
Alright, so today's stuff is a little bit of a review from either FST or Accelerated Algebra 2, and it's where we give you just the coordinates, an XY coordinate, and ask you to come up with the 6 trig ratios based off that coordinate. So you don't necessarily have to do it this way, but it's helpful at first until you get the hang of this. We think about it as if we plot it on the graph, looking at this right triangle that we make, where now the angle, instead of the angle being out here where it shows on the diagram, think about the angle being right here in this corner, always the corner that aligns with the x-axis and the hypotenuse of the triangle that you create. That means that the adjacent side, which would be on the x-axis, is your x value, so -4, and the opposite side is your y value, which would be +3. Now we can use Pythagorean theorem and do 3 squared plus -4 squared equals c squared, and so that ends up being 3 squared plus -4 squared is 25. And so that means that c, or our hypotenuse, is equal to 5. Well, if I get it set up this way, now all I need to do is apply like my SOHCAHTOA rules. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse, which in this case is going to be 3/5. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, which is -4/5. And tangent, opposite over adjacent, so -3/4. Now it doesn't matter if it's -3/4 or 3/-4, whatever. It just matters that it's negative. And then our reciprocal ratios, cosecant, just flip the fraction, secant, flip the fraction, and cotangent, flip the fraction. And we're done. Now this was a pretty basic one because it's all nice whole numbers. We're going to get some where it's radicals, that we have to have it in simplest radical form, irrational numbers, that sort of thing. So be prepared to rationalize denominators. Alright, so let's try another one that's a little bit tougher. So find the 6 trig ratios of 3, -5. So first thing I might do is to draw this out, and 3, -5, let's say, is about right here. That means that if I complete this triangle up to the x-axis, and there's my theta, 3, my x value is my adjacent side, -5 is my opposite side, and then Pythagorean theorem, 3 squared plus -5 squared. That's going to be 9 plus 25 is 34. And so now we've got square root of 34 is equal to c. So our hypotenuse here is square root 34. So again, now it's just simply doing the trig ratios, only now we've got, we're going to have to rationalize some denominators. So our sine ratio is going to be -5 over root 34. And if we rationalize that, we're multiplying both the top and bottom by root 34 to cancel out the square root in the denominator. So that's -5 root 34 over 34. Cosine is going to be +3 over root 34. And again, if I rationalize that denominator,
it's going to be 3 root 34 over 34, and tangent is going to be opposite over adjacent, so negative 5 over 3, no radicals to worry about there. All right, so then for the next part, for the reciprocal ratios. Now, if you haven't figured this out, you don't need to use this simplified version of the sine ratio or the cosine ratio to find your reciprocal ratios. It's easier if you go back and use these ones, because if I flip one of these two, then that radical that is now in the numerator moves down to the denominator, and then you have to go through the process of rationalizing again. If I use this one and flip it, which is an equivalent form of this, then it's already rationalized because this moves to the top, the 3 moves to the bottom, and now there's no radical in the denominator. So for cosecant, I'm going to flip this one, and that's going to be negative root 34 over 5. Secant is going to be root 34 over 3, and then cotangent is going to be negative 3 over 5. And there you have it. So if you want to take a look at the homework, it's on Canvas. It's only like 4 problems that are basically just the same thing as I just did, but with different numbers. I'm not going to check it on Friday, but we'll probably have a homework quiz on it sometime next week. And let's face it, it's going to be brutally cold tomorrow. You're probably sick of playing video games, Fortnite, that sort of thing already. So you may as well do some math homework. I know you've been like really, really looking forward to homework from my class since, last week. So you may as well do that. But we'll see you on Friday, and hopefully this made sense.